One thing I'm curious about is how, was it this questing that led you to the addiction for things sensual? Is a sex addict a sensual person?
I think a sex addict doesn't feel they are, and they're looking to prove themselves. They would like to be, but they feel they're not. Therefore, they have this mask. They have to act out.
In your acting out, did it lead you to some pretty embarrassing moments?
Absolutely, many.
Any great party tales?
Yes, Alana kindly invited me when I first came to Hollywood to a 4th of July party, and I wore a paper jumpsuit, but I couldn't wear any underwear because it was paper and white, and I was standing innocently, I swear, by the dance floor when someone who had had a few drinks was dancing with someone else and dropped them and grabbed me and wouldn't let me go, and I heard a rip and I couldn't get out of an embrace. And at the 3 minutes later, at the end of the song, I looked down and there was my ripped crotch and I was exposed to all of Hollywood. Whereupon I ran up the stairs to the hostess, Linda Evans, who very kindly, you know, gave me a pair of her panties, and I ran home in tears. I drove home in tears.
Why would you be embarrassed by it?
Why? How would you feel if your fly was unzipped during this whole program?
I wouldn't wear a paper suit. I mean, how intense was this embrace?
It wasn't about exteriors, Geraldo. Pardon me?
How intense was this embrace?
Very intense. I couldn't get out of it. He held me and it ripped, and there I was flailing around, looking up. Meanwhile, downstairs was ripped there.
Did you ever do anything in the throes of this obsession that really sort of made you an outcast?
Yes, yes. I crashed a wedding where I was uninvited. Alana again kindly told me not to come. You do not do this.
I think Alana's the silent partner here. She was getting into all this trouble.
She was a very good friend. She also told me I drank too much, but I thought she simply wasn't chic, you know, and I didn't tell her that at the time and continued drinking. But she told me not to go to this wedding, but George also told me to go. Anyway, I went with a friend who wrote for Rona Barrett and took a vial of cocaine and stuck it in my cleavage and had on my wedding dress I was to marry Claude in, and got coked up in the pantry. This does not go over big in Hollywood, this behavior, you see.
You wore your wedding dress
Francois Gillot had bought me a wedding dress to marry Claude Picasso in, and I still have the dress. I could have worn it for the show, but anyway.
Then the three of you would have been a vision in white. It would have been fabulous.
It was pink, and Bianca Jagger had it as well, but it was some sort of little sick thought there, you know. If I couldn't wear it to my own wedding, I might as well wear it to someone else's, you know, who didn't want me. It's very alcoholic thinking. Let's do something negative to hurt ourselves, which Alana knew was wrong, and tried to be a friend and tell me don't go. Alcoholics show up in the strangest places, wherever they're not wanted.
You're reformed now, but you've even shown up here, which is testimony
Well,
to that.
now, you told me you loved me, but you didn't pay my way in here, Geraldo, and you paid Alana, so I don't know. We'll talk about that later.
Oh, no. Stand by for that revelation right after this. Were you, reacting to him and that relationship when you started out in, on your wild flings?
Yes, I like your question. He told me I was bad in bed, and I felt sexually terribly inadequate. And then I went on to Claude, and feeling jilted by him, then I felt even less about myself. But the more stars I had, the worse I felt, because I felt they left me all, which really wasn't true, but for the most part was. And men don't fix it. I was looking to be fixed.
Men don't fix it?
Men don't fix that emptiness that I was feeling. They don't want to fix it. That's not their role in life to do that. But I thought that's the way society had told me. I need a man. I need a famous man. I believed that. Then I'd be okay. If I could be Madame Picasso, heaven help. I mean, I could have been, and I left him. I was miserable with him. It didn't make me happy, his fame, his name.
The flash in the title describes the conduct, I guess the verb is to flash, flash, expose yourself to voyeurs, etc. Was that part of your affliction?
No, I was addicted to movie stars, but the same buzz and hum I get, this obsession, the feelings are very similar to the heroine of my novel, who's a female flasher, a female exhibitionist. and when she gets the urge to flash, and she's obsessed with this, and she's a victim of it. And it's very painful. And you had a wonderful show on today where this woman that aired today talked about this, and the man, and this does exist. I believe there are women all over America suffering with this guilt, that this is wrong to do, they can't help it, and it's an addiction that's uncontrollable, and that's really what my novel's about, the woman's triumph over this addiction and the shame she feels for this obsession.
How do you feel, in retrospect, for example, about your relationship with Richard Gere? Let's throw a name out.
Oh, Richard's an old acting partner and friend, and I feel very loving towards Richard, and he's just kind of a friend, like Sly Stallone is a friend to Alana.
Let me get out the violin for Alana's description.
But I don't see Richard very much anymore these days.
Well, where did you see him in the past? I mean,
in the elevator of the Chateau Marmont in about 1978, which was where I met Bobby De Niro on the 3rd floor, yes.
So you hang out in the elevator? Is that what?
No, you take the elevator, but that's just where that's the place to pick up movie stars, the elevator of the Chateau Marmont, I tell you.
Does the relationship survive the reaching your floor, or?
Well, I met Bobby on the 3rd floor, and we had a date by the 1st for that night at 11, so there you go. It moves fast, the elevator.
And Richard?
Richard, oh, what about him? Does he move fast?
You met him
on the... Certainly does.
I gotta take a break. I need a rest.
All right. Latex girdle. Uh-oh.
Hi, I have a question for the lady in the middle. Yeah. Carol, hi. Have there ever been any movie stars that you wanted to sleep with but couldn't have?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Why? Who?
Who?
Kevin Costner.
Did you ask?
I've never met him.
Oh, that's tough then.
You can give him my number after the show.
I have a question for Carol, and it's a rude one. Warren Beatty, was he intended to be a one-night stand, or were you waiting for the phone to ring?
No, it's not a rude question at all. It's a lovely question. No, I fell in love, but I asked him to leave after the evening was over, and he wanted to stay, and I think he felt I was sufficiently nuts never to call me again, because since he wanted to stay and I wanted him, I thanked him for coming. I don't think he's... Well, no pun intended, but showing up.
Are you sure?
Showing up. What? Well, thanks for laughing.
All right.
Hi, this question's for Carol. Carol, you've had an incredible past. I'm interested in your plans for the future.
Thank you. I plan to have an incredible present and future. I am having an incredible present. Thank you.
It doesn't sound, even though you are a recovered alcoholic and you're not a substance abuser, are you recovered from the sexual addiction?
That took longer, but yeah, I've transferred it to the page. I make love to the page now. I love to write about sex, yes. I have so many memories and the voices.
What if you were back at the Chateau Marmont Hotel on Sunset Boulevard and Patrick Swayze was in the elevator?
You never know, Geraldo. You just never know.
Carol, I wanted to ask you a couple questions. How does Warren Beatty and all the men in your past feel about your book? And also, even though you're a recovered alcoholic, sexaholic, I still sense a lot of pain coming from you. Is that true? I mean...
No, the pain, it's not true. I'm a little nervous because of all these wonderful questions. You know, I mean, we're quite on up here, we ladies. But what was the first question? Oh, the book is fiction.
Well,
fiction.
How do the guys
Warren Beatty is not in my book. None of these men are in my book.
Now,
what I did with all the men is in the book, and that's why it's fiction.
Do you see about it now? I mean, how...
I'm not talking about what I did with Warren Beatty. That's in the book.
Well, we know you had a one-night stand with him. I mean, how do you think...
What do you... You don't know what we did together, do you?
Yes, you have a follow-up?
Not exactly,
He
no,
has had one-night stands with many, many, many women.
I'm sure. But do you care how they feel?
No, I do what I think is right in life. When I drank, I cared what the world thought, and I tried to please everyone, and I've learned in recovery I can't do that, and I can only do what I think is right. And I really don't mean to make any harm. I felt so rejected by these men I slept with. I became the queen of kiss and tell. Oh, in recovery, I had to write a sexual inventory. It was a 4th step. And I listed all these men. And I was so ashamed when I drank. Why was I obsessed to movie stars? This was something I was so... Alana used to say, why is it only movie stars? And I was ashamed of it. Then I put it down in recovery. I thought, this is funny. I turned the pain of the past into something positive. I went to UCLA and NYU and Columbia with the money, and now some of us are friends today. For instance, Rod, he doesn't resent it. I think trying to make... He likes it.
He's thrilled.
He wanted to know who's in the book, but I think trying to make love to someone is not a bad thing. I don't think I'm a bad person. I hope they don't leave me out of their phone conversations.
We'll take a break. Ladies, in the 1 minute we have left, tell me the one moment in your life where you really felt glamorous. Carol?
When I was on a cruise on Sam Spiegel's yacht on the Mediterranean off the coast of Sardinia, Princess Grace came to lunch, and Prince Rainier asked to sit by my side.
I want to thank Carole Mallory, and the book is Flash. Thank you for being here. And Sinbad from a different world. All right. Nice to have you here. And you have your daughter here. Bring out a woman who has written a book, and this is quite a deal. She's a former actress and model who says she has dated and seduced some of the most desirable men in Hollywood. She's written this book. It's a semi-autobiographical, I don't know what semi-autobiographical means, but we'll find out in a moment, about a woman's sexual fantasies and how she got to all of that. Please say hello to Carole Mallory. Let me tell them the book. Flash. This is the book. There we go. Semi-autobiographical.
It is not a kiss and tell book.
Okay,
it is
not.
a work of fiction about a female flasher, and I am not a female flasher either, but my skirt's too short.
But your skirt's too short. But you know what they say, you're supposed to write about what you know.
Well, I know about the stars and my experiences with them. I have translated to fiction because I thought it was more interesting what I did with them than who they were.
Well, I guess it depends on who they are.
Well...
Now, is that, you know what they say is that you have kind of seduced the who's who of Hollywood.
Some of them seduced me.
Oh, like who?
Warren Beatty.
Oh, Warren did. But I think he seduced most of you guys, didn't he?
You'll be sued.
No, that's a joke. Now, I hope he doesn't call me and try to take me out or something. But yeah. Now they're looking at the producers going, oh, God, Ross, we don't have an attorney this big.
This is my novel.
All right, so this is the novel. Hold it up so that people can see it. Why did this come out? I mean, why is this an issue that you have been with so many people in Hollywood?
Because Liz Smith wrote it when my novel...
Who is she?
Liz Smith is a columnist.
Okay.
And she wanted to help me to promote the book, and she was doing a blurb on it. And she said, well, who are some of the men you've been with? And I...
You mentioned just a moment ago, you said that what you did was more interesting than who you did it with.
Well, I'm a recovering alcoholic and sex addict is what it is. And
which is really...
what the book is about, you see. And so
it is sexist. It can be an addiction.
Overcoming that need.
Mm-hmm. How did you do that?
With a lot of help, thank
Okay.
you. Perseverance and hanging out with people who offered their experience, strength, and hope, and writing about my past.
Okay, now see, that seems like an area that could, boy, as a normal man, I don't want somebody from junior high writing in me about how awful I was. You know,
well, you wouldn't find yourself in there.
No, I wouldn't. Oh, I know, I'm not in here. I know, for sure, I'm not in here. No. But aren't you afraid of some backlash from some of your lovers?
They're not in it either. Why? They're not mentioned. You can't tell who they are. In the end of the book, I've listed the men by my typewriter in alphabetical order, and I have a conversation with two women, and I put the experiences, what I did, coming out of the mouths of one character and then the other, and one is an alcoholic or practicing drinking, and the other is sober. So one recalls them with love, and one recalls them with anger.
But you know,
But they were all things I did, and you won't know who they were, but you can imagine, perhaps.
is it a dirty book, do you think?
Nick Dunn called it the funniest dirty book he ever read, or the dirtiest funny book. It's, I don't think sex is dirty, but in fact it's about overcoming shame, sexual secrets. You're sick. I found I was as sick as my secrets, and being addicted to movie stars was one of my secrets. Do you have any sexual secrets?
Do I have any sexual secrets? Yeah, they're going to be in my book, Ross Chats. I want to talk more with you after this short break, okay? Stick around. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're here with Carole Mallory, who's written a book. And actually, we were talking about being addicted to stars, because it's, I guess that goes beyond being a groupie, or is it the same thing?
I guess kind of. I was addicted to, I wanted to be famous, and I thought by being on a star's arm that it would make me famous. And I found out it wasn't true. And part of my recovery was to write about my past, and when I went through my phone books, I was very ashamed of this. I used to say to my girlfriend, Alana Hamilton, why is it I'm only attracted to movie stars? And she would say, that's terrible, but tell me about it. So, then I realized that this was kind of funny when the more I wrote, and I began to laugh about it. And that's what the book is about, laughing at your sexual secrets.
Well, would you be attracted to a star and say, and go after him?
I certainly did,
Like
yes.
who? Who would you,
Who?
Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah. Well, I know you said there are four.
I went after
Matt Dillon you went after. May I say, how long ago did you go after him?
He was 19 and I wasn't.
Now, how did you do this? Now, poor Matt, here I'm. Yeah, I guess you're pointing your finger.
Next episode, when you have me back, we will.
Oh, then you'll. Oh, now see, you're teasing us. You're teasing us.
That's how I got him. That was.
Oh, you teased him. You teased Matt. The poor guy's 19 years old and an experienced
Why do you say
woman.
poor guy?
Well, here's an experienced,
What is
voluptuous.
this poor guy?
Huh? What I'm saying is that I'm thinking he's probably going to be in volume 2. That's why the.
He may be in volume 1, but you'll never know.
You won't know
unless
his by name.
read the book.
All right. What about Peter Sellers?
Peter Sellers was wonderful. He was lovely. I met him. Let me see. Stan Brigatti and Cheryl Teagues introduced me. Stan did it. We were at a party, and I used to pick up stars. I was called Cleavage City once by the Hollywood Reporter, which I thought was a compliment. Now I know I don't view myself this way, and I don't dress like that. But men used to come to me for that, you see, because I was a model and on the covers of Newsweek, Cosmopolitan, etc. But anyway, Peter was introduced to me. I had very little on, and he wasn't impressed. He walked away. But then later, we were in the courtyard with Roman Polanski, and he started telling stories and jokes. And when I laughed with him, then he noticed me and liked me, and I like him for that. He wasn't attracted to me as an object, but for my spirit. I think that's nice.
But was that premeditated in your mind? I mean, would you find out what one of those men liked, and then...
Oh, sure, absolutely. I used to study
it.
their girlfriends, and I used to keep a file on their girlfriends, and then if you look like their girlfriends, you'll find they all kind of look alike. Like Rod Stewart, I was with him perhaps for 2 years, but, you know, and then Alana's a friend, and then Britt I knew. Anyway, but they kind of all look alike. I was blonde then, you see. You have to dye your hair for the star.
You have to dye your hair to be attractive to them.
Well, exactly. They have... You keep a file of the former girlfriend.
Honestly, you keep a file of somebody's...
I'm teasing.
All right, well, but it sounds like you're very serious in it.
I wrote a book about that, but that didn't sell because it was too libelous.
Oh, I see.
But this sold because their names aren't there, and it's what the sexual experiences, which is much more interesting.
I would think if the other one would have been where you sell it. Now, this was in London that you sold the other memoirs, is that right?
Well, this is sold in London, too. This comes out in London in July. But a female flasher. It's an exhibitionist.
Who's your toughest? Who was the toughest?
Toughest in what way?
Your toughest in going after.
Going after?
Yeah. You zero in on one of these guys, and he was the toughest catch.
Oh, toughest. I don't know. Maybe Peter, because he rejected me,
But most of the time they were easy? I'm hearing you talk about the casting couch, because we speculate, you know, when we knew you were coming on the show, we're sitting in the office thinking, I wonder if that casting couch deal is really real, or if it's, because there certainly isn't in our office. You know, there's nothing like that going on.
Oh, really?
No.
Well, what's the mattress doing there?
We have no mattress. We have no, it's just an extra large couch. That's all that is, yeah. Anyway, the book...
It exists. The casting couch exists.
It does exist
and
today.
this is about a woman who comes to Hollywood, and they say, well, you have to sleep with stars to get ahead, and she says, well, show me how. And she does it, but the thing is, it doesn't work. She sleeps her way to the bottom, and then pulls herself up, and that's what it's about.
Okay, well, you don't do this anymore, though. Now you're an author, and you're...
Well, if somebody came to me, I mean, if, you know...
You're not blind,
I wouldn't exactly say no to... I like Sam Shepard, frankly. He's married, isn't he?
Yeah. Has that ever stopped you?
Stars aren't too concerned about wedding bands, but maybe Sam. That doesn't mean Sam isn't, but...
You are relentless. When I can see...
That's how I got published.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
how I got in the show.
Oh, I know.
Perseverance.
Yes, I know. I can
Being
tell.
the pest.
Uh-huh.
Keeping it up.
Whoa, boy. Thank you, fellas. Thank you very much. Carole Mallory, the book is called Flash, and that's all I'm going to say. So we're going to take a break. We'll be back.
Tomorrow on The Late Show, meet...
Carole Mallory is an answer to Hollywood trivia of the 1970s. She was a supermodel who blazed her way through the lives of Warren Beatty, Robert De Niro, Marcello Mastroianni, Rod Stewart, and many more. The other two parts of her life were booze and drugs. Now she's a best-selling author thanks to her own life, as our Steve McPartland found out.
During the 70s, Carole Mallory was one of the most beautiful and successful models in America. Her face graced the covers of national magazines, and she was one of the most popular television commercial actresses.
So all my men wear English leather, or they wear nothing at all.
Carole Mallory wanted, more than anything else, to be an actress. She left modeling in New York to pursue that career in L.A., and she quickly found out that the road to stardom in Hollywood is paved with booze, drugs, and the casting couch.
I'm Carole Mallory from New York. I was a fashion model, and I've been on the cover of Newsweek, Cosmopolitan, and New York Magazine. I've been in Hollywood for 3 weeks. I meet film people in their offices and in the sun when it's out. I've just tested for the lead in the fan club and can currently be seen in the Stepford Wives. I swim every day to keep my body in shape. I'm here to make it as a leading lady.
Carole has written about her exploits in Tinseltown in a thinly veiled autobiography called Flash. In it, the heroine is a flasher, and she falls prey to booze and drugs just like Carole did. Carole Mallory hit bottom when she was living with a famous rock star's tailor.
I would get drunk, and he would beat me up, and I would have to have my ribs checked out, and hair was missing on my head in my Les Salon. Lewis, who does my hair now, said, what are these bald spots? Maybe you have cancer. And the man I was with said, oh, it's just from our fights. He used to pound my head in the concrete. So life wasn't funny anymore. The drugs and alcohol stopped working for me. The phone stopped ringing. The stars stopped wanting me. I wasn't Hollywood's bad girl. I was not liked.
This self-proclaimed Hollywood bad girl also found herself a victim of one of Hollywood's oldest hobbies, the casting couch.
When they have the power...
Carole is now a recovering alcoholic, drug abuser, and sex addict, and her book has been a catharsis for her. It has helped her regain her self-respect and deal with her shame.
I was ashamed of being addicted to movie stars. I was ashamed of being a farmer's daughter. I was ashamed of not being able to talk to people at parties and say the right thing. Things come out of my mouth like they just did to you. I don't think before I speak a lot, and sometimes that's my joy, wonderful, and other times I'm very offensive. But that's who I am today, and the book is also about self-acceptance of the heroine, and I've learned in recovery I must accept myself. I think that's the beauty of it. Makes me feel good.
Carole Mallory. When we come back, the 11-year-old college graduate.
Well, you'll love our next guests, all ex-models with sexy, fast-paced lives. It's easy to see where they get their inspiration. So sitting next to me is Carole Mallory, who has written this book called Flash.
That's too hot to hold.
Almost. Fingers are being scorched next to her from Palm Beach, Florida.
My heroine swears by herself, and she's learned to live alone and not be dependent on men or alcohol or things to make her feel whole. And that's really why my book is about transcendence, though it's about a female flasher. And some people think a pervert. It's really spiritual, because she's learned to believe in herself and laugh at her past and own up to her sexual foibles and not be ashamed and to forgive herself and others.
So basically, you are writing about yourselves. Elaine's been married for 38 years.
That's right.
And, are you married right now?
No, I have 2 cats.
Oh, well, congratulations. But
you know, Carol's book, on the surface, it seems like it's a dirty book, you know? It's incredibly well written. Norman Mailer says great things about it. Gloria Steinem, Dominic Dunn, all very respected people.
Yeah.
I frankly says it's wonderful, too. Thank you. These are on the covers.
But I frankly have never heard of in fact, I've never even encountered a female flasher.
Well, that's why I wrote the book. They're out there. They're just too ashamed to talk about it, really.
It's the one place they feel they have control, right?
Yes, and letting out their anger and exhibiting them. Women, we have power sexually. We may not have it in the industries, but our sexuality is power. And my heroine is beautiful, though she doesn't feel beautiful. And she uses her sexuality to get back at men and sort of vindictive. But it doesn't work. It makes her unhappy.
Are you happy now?
I'm happy. Are you, Regis?
Yes, I thought I was until I met you. We're going to come right back in just a moment to continue this in a second.
Great.
Well, now here's Carole Mallory, who, of course, was a model. And take a look at that. Not bad there. Cover girl on Newsweek magazine.
Notice what they said about me. Anything goes.
You tried to live up to it during that period of your life, too.
I think I did.
Were you pretty wild?
Sort of, yes. I slept with Hollywood when I was drinking. I think that's pretty wild.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Are you still wild? Pat,
And I bet even in Scarsdale it would take 45 minutes.
Fashion, out of date. I've never been much of a joiner, I'm afraid. I guess it's because I've just been so busy, what with baking and all that.
This isn't any kind of a lifelong commitment we're after.
We just want to see if there's any interest for some kind of activities in Stepford, that's all. Well, there isn't any interest here, Joanna. I know I shouldn't say this, but I just love my brownies. I'm sorry I didn't bake anything yesterday. It took me so long to get the upstairs floor to shine. I didn't have any time to bake.
Well, you don't have to bake, kid. There's no law.
Yeah. Ed's lucky if I remember to keep them in white bread.
Easy on spray starch. It must save me half an hour a day at least. You'll never run short of time again, I guarantee it.
I've just been tempted so many times to try Easy On. I'm not trying to be a leader or anything, but we're not supposed to delve quite so specifically into housework. Easy On's really that good, is it? Is it that good?
I think women are becoming a little more frightening to men these days. Maybe because we're freer to do much more. But some men aren't intimidated at all. They enjoy our freedom. Those are the men I like. And you know, those are the men who wear English leather cologne. English leather fits the way they live. It's so clean and natural, and I love it. So all my men wear English leather, or they wear nothing at all.
Who is it? Catherine. Oh, hi, hon. Come on up.
Police?
Oh, it's my sick kisser.
Hey, that's expensive grass.
Yeah. Oh, hi. Gang, I want you to meet them real fast. Teresa's a teacher of deaf kids. How do you like the place, huh?
It's beautiful. You're all beautiful.
Dragon the best. Kitty said that she couldn't live any place else but here. Well, I can't live without her, but the place wasn't for rent,
So we bought the whole damn building. So if you ever need an unfurnished apartment.
Or a brilliant lawyer.
Yeah, I'll rob Bay.
No. For school teachers named Terry, half price.
Oh, I like that, hon. St. Teresa by day and Swingin' Terry by night. Do you new job?
To Terry?
By night. Like home movies?
Yes, I love them.
Let's watch the kiddies play.
Get a piece of these arms. Life gets
too civilized. Give her Tigress, the most female fragrance by Fabergé. Tigress. Impulsive. Unpredictable. Uninhibited. Always different. Never tame. Tigress perfume by Fabergé. Are you wild enough to wear it?
There is a wild new novel out. I guarantee if you don't know of it, you will hear of it. It is titled Flash. It is published by Poseidon Press, a division of Simon & Schuster. It's an autobiographical novel, and its author is Carole Mallory, and she is our next guest. There you see the book's cover. Carole Mallory admits to being a sexaholic. Is that what you were?
Yes, among other things.
Is that nymphomaniacal?
I think it could possibly be. I just think more in terms of drugs and dependency on men and that sort of thing.
Rather than the act itself?
Yes, I was really addicted to movie stars is what I was. But in Flash, the heroine was addicted to flashing. She's a female flasher.
In the book?
Mm-hmm.
That's not what you were?
No.
But the book is part autobiographical?
Part. That's why I'm glad we clarified that up front.
Well, most first novels are autobiographical, aren't they?
We're saying semi, and I didn't say that. The Washington Post did.
Okay. Back to you. You were a model first, right?
First, I was a school teacher, then an airline hostess, then a cover girl. Mm-hmm.
Went from airline hostess to cover girl?
Yes, I got airsick and lost weight and began modeling in Paris. Actually, on a leave of absence from Paris.
And did covers for things like Vogue and...
Newsweek, New York Magazine.
And got some movies?
Movies. I was in Stepford Wives and Looking for Mr. Goodbar. I did about 12 films. Mm-hmm.
And then what? I mean, you kind of disappeared and then suddenly a novelist?
Well, I became an alcoholic. I actually was. You just don't become that. It begins in childhood. But I bottomed out in 1979 in Hollywood. And writing was part of recovery. It was the fourth step to recovery. And I never wanted to go back to acting again. I love writing. And I wanted to write about my feelings.
But this is your first book?
It is. I tried twice before to get published.
Were they ticked when you revealed all this?
I don't know. I haven't. No one's tried to sue, and I'm friendly with some today. In fact, Rod Stewart has given a blurb for my book. So I think making love with a man, whether he be a movie star or anyone, is not an ugly thing. And I'm not ashamed of the men I've been with, and I certainly hope they're not ashamed of me.
No, of course, one would gather that. Why stars, though? Why do they have to be people?
My father was obsessed with the rich and famous, and he had a lobotomy instead of becoming president of the bank. And I love my father, and I kind of think that part of my values, my obsession with fame, was kind of to do what he was never able to do with his life.
Yeah, you're right about that, right? He had a lobotomy.
He didn't need it. He had Parkinson's. They said they were sorry after the operation. The heroine of Flash also, her father had a lobotomy. So there are some similarities.
I thought they don't do that.
Well, I hear today that they do exploratory brain operations, and it's the same thing. So I don't know whoever needs a lobotomy to begin with, but they did say they made a mistake with my father.
How well has Carole Mallory done in licking her problem?
Well, I think getting published is a pretty good accomplishment for an alcoholic, sexaholic. You know, I'm
But are
very
you
proud.
still an alcoholic, sexaholic?
I haven't acted out. I haven't had a drink for 8.5 years. I haven't had a pill for 7.5 years. And
did that help
I
the
haven't
other?
had a movie star for about 4 years.
I mean, the
We have to. But I tell you, I saw Dirty Dancing last night, and I've never met Patrick Swayze, and is he cute? But I'm glad I write today.
If you met Patrick Swayze.
Then I wouldn't write. You see, I'd much rather write. I'm taking care of myself, my
So
needs.
that's the important
word.
So if Patrick Swayze walked in here now, you wouldn't walk off with him?
Not if I had a chapter to write. If I don't have a chapter to write, maybe.
I see. But you like writing better?
I like writing better.
So writing was your method out.
Mm-hmm.
What if you weren't published?
Well, I don't give up. I tried twice and failed, and I would just keep trying.
I mean, do you think you'd have still had this problem, though?
But I'm
without
quite
this
with
talent? If you couldn't write?
If I couldn't write, what do you mean?
You didn't have the ability to write. I mean, a lot of people may be watching this show that have a similar problem to the one you had.
I never had the ability to write. I learned the ability to write. I was a cover girl school teacher. I couldn't read 8.5 years ago. The brain of an alcoholic is so self-obsessed. It was like the inside of a ghetto blaster. I couldn't concentrate. I'm reading Huckleberry Finn for the first time. In 8.5 years, I have taught myself to write, well, with help of professors, and studied with Margaret Atwood and Gordon Lish and things like that.
But you're a self-taught writer, self-taught author, self-taught reader.
Well, I mean, at Columbia and UCLA I went to, and NYU, so there were professors. But now I've been told to read. I should not actually go to the university anymore, but I should really just read.
What about Flash? Worse, were you surprised?
Pardon?
Were you surprised it got published?
No.
Most people who get rejections don't expect
I just
publication.
don't give up till it happens, but I didn't expect it. I just persevere. I wasn't surprised. I was happy, very happy, elated, but not surprised.
How?
The Tony Randall Show.
On March 21st of this year, my client, Miss Lola Gordon, was driving down a Philadelphia street when her car was hit by Mr. Lohman's car. We are suing his insurance agency because of that accident. My client, Miss Lola Gordon, has become uncontrollably promiscuous. Not now, Lola.
I need you.
Later. Here is a complete psychiatric report on my client, which proves conclusively that her mental state was altered by the accident. Further, I have sworn affidavits by men who have had, shall we say, romantic liaisons with Miss Gordon these past few weeks.
All rise. The Court of Common Pleas, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, is now in session. Judge Maxwell Lambert presiding.
Judge Walter,
What?
order in the court. Order in the court, please.
Jack.
I'm Judge Walter Franklin. This is all kind of new to me, being up here. Even this chair is. I'm used to being down there with you guys instead of up here.
Judge, get on with the trial.
Okay, well, I guess we're ready to go now, so anybody want to go first?
Judge, this is where you announce the case and ask the plaintiff's attorney if he's ready to present his argument.
Roger, got it. Yeah, this is the case of Gordon versus the Cut Rate Insurance Company. Well, here we are, so, oh, is the counsel for the plaintiff here?
Here, Your Honor. I'm Rufus Higgins. On March 21st of this year, my client, Miss Lola Gordon, was driving down a Philadelphia street when her car was hit by Mr. Lohman's car. We are suing his insurance company because since the accident, my client, Miss Gordon, has become uncontrollably promiscuous.
Who is that man?
What?
That man over there in the court reporter. I want him.
Not now. Here is a complete psychiatric report which proves conclusively that my client's state of mind was altered by the accident. Further, I have sworn affidavits by men who have had, shall we say, romantic liaisons with my client these past few weeks.
Could I see the psychiatric report and the affidavits?
Oh, yes, Your Honor. Stay.
Thank you. Oh, boy. This is really something. Wow. Well, with this in mind, what sort of settlement do you think would be fair?
Well, Your Honor, we have really searched our collective consciences, and we believe that any settlement less than $200,000 for this poor woman would be unconscionable.
Yeah, I'll think of that very seriously.
Jack, where would Judge Franklin be without you?
No, he really runs
the show. He's great. No, this is embarrassing, fellows. I just do my job.
Hey, Jack, haven't you lost a little weight?
Yeah, you're looking a little better. That's good. Looks terrific.
And I bet even in Scarsdale it'll take 45 minutes.
Fashion, out of date. I've never been much of a joiner, I'm afraid. I guess it's because I've just been so busy, what with baking and all that. This isn't any kind of a lifelong commitment we're after. We just want to see if there's any interest for some kind of activities in Stepford, that's all. Well, there isn't any interest here, Joanna. I know I shouldn't say this, but I just love my brownies. I'm sorry. I didn't bake anything yesterday. It took me so long to get the upstairs floor to shine. I didn't have any time to bake. Well, you don't have to bake, kid. There's no law. Yeah. Ed's lucky if I remember to keep him in white bread. Easy on spray starch. It must save me half an hour a day at least. You'll never run short of time again. I guarantee it.
I've just been tempted so many times to try Easy On. I'm not trying to be a leader or anything, but we're not supposed to delve quite so specifically into housework.
Easy On's really that good, is it? Is it that good?
I think women are becoming a little more frightening to men these days. Maybe because we're freer to do much more. But some men aren't intimidated at all. They enjoy our freedom. Those are the men I like. And you know, those are the men who wear English leather cologne. English leather fits the way they live. It's so clean and natural, and I love it. So all my men wear English leather, or they wear nothing at all.
Who is it? Catherine. Oh, hi, hon. Come on up.
Police?
Oh, it's my sick kisser.
Hey, that's expensive grass.
Yeah. Oh, Gang, I want you to meet some real class. Teresa's a teacher of deaf kids. How do you like the place, huh?
It's beautiful. You're all beautiful.
Dragging the best. Kitty said that she couldn't live any place else but here. Well, I can't live without her, but the place wasn't for rent,
So we bought the whole damn building. So if you ever need an unfurnished apartment.
Or a brilliant lawyer.
Yeah, I'll rob Bay.
No. For school teachers named Terry, half price.
Oh, I like that. St. Teresa by day and swinging Terry by night. Do your new job.
To Terry?
By night. Like home movies?
Yes, I love them.
Let's watch the kiddies play.
Get a piece of these arms.
Life gets too civilized. Give her Tigress, the most female fragrance by Fabergé. Tigress. Impulsive. Unpredictable. Uninhibited. Always different. Never tame. Tigress perfume by Fabergé. Are you wild enough to wear it?
Hi. I'll have coffee. Bottom of the pot. Sure, wake up. Ooh, do you have tea? Only in a bag. I'll adjust.
I'm looking for a mutual friend of ours, Larry Cantrell.
So am I. He didn't show up here this morning.
Well, that's just it. He hasn't shown up anywhere.
Larry, a friend of yours?
Well, one of his many, if you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
I think you do.
Yeah, that Larry.
He's an original.
Sure is.
You know, I'm a little bit worried about him. Was he okay when you saw him yesterday?
Oh, he was fine. Mad as hell, but he was fine.
What was he mad about?
Just as he drives in, some dummy in a Toyota runs into a caddy and causes a traffic jam. So Larry can't get the truck parked. Then the cops keep him out there answering all sorts of questions because he's a witness. I open at 6, and I close every morning from 9:30 to 10 for Larry. When he shows up.
Ah, you mean he comes here for more than breakfast?
Well, that's all he had time for yesterday.
Oh, because of the accident.
Boy, was he ticked off. Roger saw the whole thing from his dress shop across the street.
Miss Scala, I would like you to, before we talk about Heartland and the reviews,
yes,
incredible, I'd like you to meet Carole Mallory,
hello,
who stars in, say that title one more time.
Take this job and shove it.
And
thank you.
Carole, what do you want to say so far about Lilia Scala, this marvelous lady, or any question or comment?
But why, poor girl, what should she say? She doesn't
I'm
know.
glad she's from Vienna, but really American. Do you like our coffee better than Viennese? I don't know, Joe. What should I say?
By now, I have forgotten how the Viennese coffee tastes.
Oh, it's good. The chocolate cake.
What do you think, Jackie? What is your...
Well, I would like Dr. Scott. He does that, too.
Really? My only exercise is being the pallbearer at the funerals of people who used to exercise.
Oh,
my only
come
exercise.
on, come on. Oh.
I mean that. Ladies and gentlemen, the movie, which has gotten rave reviews, features one of the most distinguished actresses on the screen. Her name is Lilia Scala, and Heartland sounds to me like an outdoor kind of a title. The reviews.
I'm going to
get an autograph poster, right?
Certainly will.
At an early age, were you already outgoing? Were you comfortable performing in front of large
I
audiences?
was very shy. I'm counterphobic. Haven't you noticed,
You were
Joe?
shy?
I were and am.
Never, never. I want to tell you, it's been a delight, and I'm going to go to see Heartland. I want to do a
Wow, that's
do you
good.
save do you save scrapbooks and things like that? Home?
Oh gosh, sure I do. They're a bit dusty, but I have. You want one? Want me to autograph a scrapbook for you, Joe?
I want to come and get an autograph page by page, right? Let's put it.